Hello and welcome to the Slapshot Syndicate podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more content, and whilst you're at it, go and follow our social media pages. They're on screen now. Now, on to the episode.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Slapshot Syndicate, episode 41, and things have taken a slight turn for the worse for certain teams this week, fellas. Some surprise results. I know we say that a lot, but certainly we had our eyes on a couple of big fixtures this weekend, and they didn't disappoint.
Absolutely. I was away this weekend, so I didn't have my eyes on it as I normally would do. But I managed to try and keep an eye on a few bits that was going on, and yeah, some stuff quite surprising. Some big scores, shutout, and a bit of movement again in the table by the looks of it.
I think there was a big opportunity for quite a few teams this weekend, weren't they? And some of them well and truly thrived. Some of them sort of fell at a couple of hurdles. It was obviously, we always say it every week, but that's what makes it the best league in our opinion in the country. It's fantastic. You never know what's going to happen, but yeah, some fantastic individual and team performances, and some not so good ones, which I'm sure we'll be going through, boys.
Yeah. So with that said, then, fellas, let's get into it then and get into Seahawks reaction. So, fellas, Seahawks this past weekend, fairly interesting. Bit of disappointment on one side, but then recovering quite well and getting a road win on the Sunday, which was always good. So, starting with the Friday night game away in Sheffield, heavy defeat, losing 7-1. What did we make of this? Obviously, none of us was really eyes on this, and none of us was there. But 7-1 doesn't look great, does it?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Going away to Sheffield on a Friday night. I think it can either be a really good game or a really bad game. Unfortunately, I think for us, we've come out with a latter 7-1 defeat in a game where we've started building a bit of momentum. You would have hoped we could have taken something away from this, but no. I mean, credit to Steel Dogs. Obviously, they put us to the sword, haven't they? As we've said, when they come out firing, they can beat any team. It's just a little bit gutting to only get one away, especially being a local rival of ours. So, yeah, very disappointing.
Our friend Ian watched this, didn't he? And obviously it was a Friday night, and I think we all had individual plans and stuff, so it was just one that we happened to miss. But I think I was more shocked than anything, especially after the form that we've built up recently. Going places, getting big wins. MK sticks in my mind because of how much of a corner turn of that sort of felt, and I think we had a definite bounce because of that. But it was just so surprising that it was notification 1-0, notification 2-0, and was like, is this right? And you unlock your phone and it's what? Obviously they got the first goal within, I think it was a minute and a half. Second minute was 2-0. I think then obviously there was a couple more minutes before the third, but I think by the time you're talking like quarter of an hour in, you were 4-0 down, and it's bizarre because you think with the current vein of form, that's not going to happen. And I think obviously we'll probably go into what Matty said in his Solway interview a little bit later on, but I don't know whether it's they've turned up with the wrong attitude, or Stallard's obviously Stallard was the one who was dropped this weekend, and I don't necessarily think it's dropped due to form. It says obviously on their social media and stuff that he's injured at the moment, and yeah, it was really head scratching. And obviously we got one back, didn't we? Which was like, okay, in ice hockey, if you're 4-1 down in the first period, weirder things have happened, haven't they? But yeah, it just never sort of came back, did it? And they had a bit of a torrid night.
No, and I think that's the benefit of having 5 imports at the minute. When you have got one injured, you've still got 4 on the ice. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you would have definitely hoped for more. I was just looking at like the power plays. Steel Dogs had 6 power plays on the night. We had 4, and so there was a fair few minutes there. I think 22 minutes we had on the PK, I think, throughout it. So it's just not great, really. I think maybe a bit of discipline coming to this game. I saw Bobby got 10-minute, didn't he? 10-minute major towards the end. So I don't know. I think having Tendercon, like you say, Al, about that MK game being a real sort of catalyst for us 10 in a corner, it's just a little bit gutting to take a bit of a step back, but not overly concerned, because we have shown them signs now where in actuality when we perform, where we're going to be a tough team to beat. So just one of them. Try not to read into it too much.
What do you make of it as?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've both made great points there. I think, it could be easy to just be like, oh my God, we've lost, at Sheffield. I think realistically, we always maybe expected to lose. We've never really done well in recent, years at Sheffield. And if we had got something, I think we'd have been more surprised than anything else. I think it's just the manner of the defeat, to be honest with you, quite heavy. We have turned some great corners lately and picked up some great results, and it's nothing to be concerned about, but it is just that slight step back where we could have, at least give them more of a game. When they came to us a couple of weeks back for the Remembrance game, 5-4, I think it was, and we made it a decent, hook of it, and you can't really grumble at that. You think, yeah, Sheffield, great side, but at least we pushed them. Whereas this one, it was just that hoodoo of us going to Sheffield just was there in full force. But like you say, being 3 down within 9 minutes is not a great look. But my thought that I've just come with up here is I don't know if you both realised, but we seem to have had these poor starts in the past few weeks, to be honest with you. If you remember the Leeds game, we went 2-0 down there and really had to sort of fight back. And there was another game recently where we've sort of slow started and then had to fight back. Well, fortunately, those results have gone in our favour, whereas this one, where I've said it, and you brought it up, I think, last week, Rossy, but where I've said Seahawks need to just go at the throat and finish a team off, that's what Sheffield have actually done to us. So it is a shame, to have lost in that manner, but the recovery the next night was what mattered in the end.
It was, and before we move on to Solway, I think it's worth mentioning an old ghost came back to visit us, didn't he? We said about the other week, and there was one in particular player that we was absolutely, impressed with, wasn't they? And again, he stood on his head again in this game. Apparently, got man of the match, and that's Alex Oldale. A 97% save percentage once again. He only conceded 1 goal, and obviously we had, all the boys out in force, didn't we? So saving 36 shots on the night. That's really, really good. And interestingly for me, so there was a lot of talk, wasn't there, recently about Sheffield and the signing of the new import netminder, which by all means go about your business. Who are we to say sign who you want? But with the level of performance Alex Oldale's putting in at the moment, I was really surprised, actually. I know this is Seahawks Reacts, but I just wanted to move on and touch on his performance, really. But I was really surprised that Oldale is now sort of being shimmied to the side. Like, he put a man of the match performance in this game, but then the next night he wasn't in the squad at all. He wasn't backing up the Steelers. A real surprising one. Like, a 21-year-old Alex Oldale, how many teams in our league would snap him up? You know what I mean? I was really surprised at that. Because when he came and had a man of the match performance, I thought, you know what? Yeah, it's a 7-1 loss. You can see actually on that Oldale's probably had a worldie. I believe it. I buy it. That's sort of maybe part of Sheffield, one of Sheffield's arrow to the bow to the arrow, or whatever do you want to say? Like string to the bow. But the fact that he again got dropped the night after was surprising, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is a weird one, that. It is one worth touching on because, as much as face value, you just think, yeah, an import netminder's come in, but behind the scenes, like you say, if you are Alex there and you're thinking, I'm having worldies here, we've seen him at his very best, and he's, like you say, the percentages are there, but to think, oh, actually, I might be playing second fiddle here to an import netminder, because I'm not being funny, right? If you're bringing in an import netminder, then surely he's playing every single game once he gets up to speed, because it's different having an out there on the ice player, but a netminder, if he's fit, he plays. Surely that's the bottom line. So for Alex, it's a bit of a weird one, really. Does he does he sort of stick around and hurt his chances to play, or is he potentially got something else lined up? I don't know, but like you say, I think he would be snapped up in a heartbeat to a lot of clubs the way he's been playing.
Yeah, definitely.
Agreed.
Interesting as well with our netminders, there was a little bit of a shake-up as well, weren't the boys? I think Geordie obviously didn't. I know he'll admit it himself. Didn't have the best night. It was a pretty tough one to face. I think. I don't think Geordie necessarily is the one to blame for that. We didn't see it obviously, but his form in the last couple of weeks has been fantastic. He obviously was swapped halfway, or maybe after the first period, I think, for Dima. Good for Dima to get some minutes in, boys, and obviously that translated into the Sunday. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Geordie's been number one for the past month, 6-8 weeks now, and he's good for it. We've said that before. He's playing some really good hockey, and as much as we've said, other goalkeepers in the league, Hull CC, Max Wright and stuff, they're having blinders, and you notice them more. Whereas, unfortunately, it's just one of those bad nights in the form for Geordie. He will turn it round and he'll come back and probably be number one. But it is good to see Dima back in there and getting some time, in goal. He does deserve it.
Not something to worry about there, Brad.
No, I don't think so. They're two quality netminders, aren't they? At the end of the day, I think when you've not got one clearly massively outperforming another, it don't feel too much of a bitter pill when you've got to move your now number one and bring in someone who is pushing for number one and not necessarily number two, because I don't feel like we have a clear 1 and 2. We are chopping and changing. So I agree. I think putting Dima in goal was probably the right call, but also giving him a little bit of game time, because it's difficult in it for these netminders to get up to sort of match fit. Well, I say match fitness, up to that intensity, the level of intensity without actually being in the net in these games. So yeah, I think probably this weekend we're going to see Geordie back in the net, and yeah, I think potentially maybe one game each, but who knows?
And like I say, to Dima's credit, he went in and it seems like he's put a decent shift in, and that translates into Sunday, boys. I know I've sort of took a little lead here, so sorry about that. But in terms of Sunday, as you watched it as well, did you? So me and you both watched that. Did you watch it, Brad, as well? You missed it, didn't you?
I caught a little bit of it.
Caught a little bit
in the end, yeah.
So yeah, because you bought the stream, but you didn't know whether you'd be able to watch it, did you?
No.
So that translated into Sunday, and Dima got his chance and to be fair, mate, he didn't disappoint. We had a bit of a shaky start, didn't we?
Yeah, it was that stuttering start, 2.5 minutes in and we're behind again, and it's like you say, it's becoming a bit noticeable in a couple of games. Maybe it isn't nothing to worry about, but it's that giving yourself a bigger task than it should be, realistically. Going into the game, I don't want to discredit or give any bad words to Solway, but they was heavily short bench. So for me, when it's stuff like this, you sort of think, can we just stick at the game? We don't overexert ourselves, and they will gas. If we'd have gone sort of half the game and it had been close, 1-1, 2-1, I'd have been happy, because in the end, that's what did tell, is that we just had the legs and we just gunned them down essentially and went for it. But yeah, a bit of a shaky one again. Dimo had a bit of a stuttering start. Maybe that's down to the fact that he hasn't played many minutes. I think both goals, I'd say he'd like to have a go again, and he'd probably make the save. It's it's just one of those. It is tough. It's great to be called up and being told you're starting netminder, but when you haven't played and had those intense moments in a game, you sort of miss them and you think, oh, I'm a bit out of sorts here. But he did settle himself down, and he made some quality saves as well.
He absolutely did. I agree 100%. And I think Dimo will be one of the first ones to admit that he maybe would have done better with those. There was sort of down his throat a little bit, wasn't he? But, if you've got traffic in front of you, it's one of those situations. But yeah, let's just touch on Solway to start us off. Obviously, we had a stuttering start, but to say that they only had 3 recognised defensemen and Duncan Spears, who obviously was all touting for a hat-trick and his ability going forward the other week as your top 2, and then they had to bring up 2 lads from the SNL team, which I think in comparison to the NIHL, the Solway interviews and stuff said it themselves is a massive jump, and them 2 boys didn't get too much ice time. They got a little bit in the third, I think, when the game started to go away a little bit. But yeah, it's a big ask, isn't it, for two lines of defence. And you know, our first 2 goals, lads, they came on power plays as well. So you know, the Sharks really did. You know, it was a little. I don't know whether I want to use the word worrying as, but obviously you'll be able to touch on this. But I don't know whether I was a little bit worried. I was watching the game thinking, could they? Is this what other teams have been doing when they come to the Sharks? And is this how they beat us? Because you know they had 2 lines of defence and it was really coming at us, weren't they?
Yeah, they set up really nicely, to be honest. You know, they defended their own zone really well. I think that they'd have taken a great bit of confidence from, you know, the game against Milton Keynes, I think it was the night before. You know, despite that being a loss, I think there was a lot of positives to take for Solway in that game. You know, and then coming back home, which, like you say, since they started playing at home, they've had some nice scalps and pushed some teams. And I don't know if it's just the atmosphere, the size of the brink or whatnot, but a lot of teams are sort of struggling to go there and play. And like you say, I think if there'd have been a full bench, I think we might have had a far tighter game, and we might have been in one of those scalping games, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. So obviously, from a Seahawks perspective, this is Let's Talk Seahawks, obviously. Emmy Svek got us the first goal back on a power play, and you could see it in his face how relieved he was, didn't you? You know, he's been saying for a couple of weeks that, you know, he wants the goals to come back, things like that. And he got his goal, didn't he? And yeah, again, our power play unit sort of showing on the first and second goals that it's effective, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is great for Svek to do it again, you know. A guy who feeds off confidence and the fans around him, and he loves nothing more than being the main man and the goal scoring. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love that. You know, obviously in football, I was a striker and like to score goals, so I can understand where it's coming from. You love that sort of, you know, jubilation and respect from your teammates. So to see him finally back on there, I mean, by no ways has he played poorly. You know, I think we've mentioned in the past few weeks his work ethic has been right there, getting back to defend when he needs to. He's still putting assists on the board. He's far further forward on his assists than he is with goals this year, but I have no issues with that. I think the assists are coming from his work rate this year, you know, which has been talked about, you know, the past few years he has been with Seahawks. But yeah, seeing him back on there with the goals, I think he ended up with what, a 5-point night still. So you still can't knock that, can you? But to see him on the goals is quality, really good for him.
And brothers, we discussed this, didn't we, last weekend? But we said how important it'd be for Svek to get back most of the points and stuff like that. You know, what's your take? It's got to have done him the world of good, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's a big confidence booster in being back on the score sheet. And like you say, he wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he? So when he's not having a good game, he probably lives with that for the best part of the week and tries to use that as a motivator potentially, but also that can be a very lonely space. If you're trying to take all of that weight and you're almost building yourself on negativity rather than positivity. So when he's on it, he's a different character and he's got a whole different personality. So I think for his benefit and our benefit as a team, we need him firing on all cylinders because it just brings out this different personality in him.
Someone who really loved playing alongside him as well, boys, was the main man, the captain, Beecham, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He's then gone on. It's obviously he got an assist from Sobs and Svek for the second goal in the power play, which is a real nice goal. And then second period was a bit tighter, wasn't it, boys? I think. You know what I really liked about Solway? The fact that despite us, it was 1-0 to them, the 1-1, 2-2, they never stopped coming at us, and they had a new import coming in, didn't they? Who was a bit of a big boy, and I really liked the look of him. To be fair, I think it's Jonathan Yancis, who was playing along with our mate Stewie and Jordan Buesa, and they never backed down, did the boys? It was very tight in that second period. One goal obviously separating that, which was again Bobby. Azza, what did you make to that second period?
It was one of those periods again which we've seen with Seahawks in the past a month or so, where it's maybe not 100% 100 mile an hour. Maybe we're saving ourselves for that third period if we need to, give ourselves a real battle and a push. So it was a bit end to end, to be honest with you, and it opened up quite nicely. But you mentioned about the Solway import there, Yanks, I think his name is. I think he was upset about a few things in the game, wasn't he, as he's starting to learn about the officiating in this league. A few calls got away, and he wasn't best impressed. But I liked what I saw of him. He seems to be able to put himself in there a bit, and he wasn't too fussed about throwing the body about either. But I think Solway in that second period, from my perspective, it was sort of stick with it, but maybe try and get the upper hand in the hope that they had something to defend going into the third. I think you're willing to push yourself a little bit more if you've got the upper hand, or even if it had been a 1-goal lead going into the third period. I think they'd have been quite happy to be a bit more passive and defensive in the game. But once obviously the legs started to go and Seahawks took hold, you could see you just become deflated. We've all played sport and we've been there. The difference between holding something and just sort of seeing out a game, it's just completely different, isn't it?
Much more controlled for Seahawks after that third or fourth goal, wasn't it? And you did sympathise with Solway because you could see the legs were going, and like you say, the likes of Bolts and Spearsy and Stenton and Kerr was just run ragged, weren't there? And Jordan Marr, I thought had a good game as well. He made plenty of good saves, which in other games he wouldn't have made, I don't think. So you could really see them boys sort of working for the team, putting the bodies on the line. It was great to see. But obviously the fourth period come, and the game was sort of sealed, wasn't it, with that first goal, Brad. Bobby Chambo again, he got rounding up his hat-trick, and I don't think there'll be many more players that are happier to get a hat-trick than Bobby. Talk to us about sort of that goal and the rest of the period, Bradders. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I to be honest, it's mainly about Bobby, innit? Let's be honest. He's just an absolute character on the ice, and I think he is our whole personality, or certainly a large part of it. So getting that goal, obviously to see off the game, just felt like it really cemented us. Because I'll be honest, when we was sort of like 2-0 down and we was just starting to claw back, I still wasn't overly confident. But yeah. All in all, I think it's just that catalyst to, help us really sort of control the game. So yeah, from there, we got Johnny on the score sheet, got Svek again from that point, and 5.9 for Svek, wasn't it? So between him and Bobby, they've put up almost double figures in points.
Yeah, they've absolutely smashed it. What did you make to? Well, obviously there was a lot of shout for Emmy and Bobby. What did you make to that last period as well?
It was really good. I think you could see we go back to Emmy Svek, the confidence he suddenly got. I mean, that second goal he scored, there was a bit of something behind the play, and he sort of broke, and the defenseman was to his left to cut off the passing lane. But the way he took the goal was really nice and great finish. So it was great for him. You could see a bit more confidence through some of the lads. Some of the passing was really nice as well. But like you say, you look at the list of goal scorers and point scorers. It is a who's who of Hull Seahawks at the moment. All the big players are there and in full force. And I think sometimes you need a game, as bad as it sounds for Solway, there was short bench, but sometimes you need those games where you can just almost free for all against a team and just bag up and get anybody and everybody scoring or assisting. It's great to see it, but it was good that we recovered, from the poor Friday, starting a bit slow again, maybe slightly passing during the second period, but then coming back and really hammering home and securing the win in a difficult place. Great mentality from the lads.
It was almost like it fell right into our laps, didn't it? That we, after an hammering, we can say that, can't we? It was an hammering on Friday that sort of fixture came to us. I want to ask you a question as well, boys. So obviously with Stally being injured, the lines have mixed up a little bit, haven't they? And on Sunday we saw a different line, a different first line of Bobby, Svek and Ethan Hare. What do you boys make to Ethan's sort of rise up the lines? Because he started as sort of he was third or fourth line on Leeds, and that's probably where he started for us. Solid third line, and was like, we can get behind this, and he just kept going and going and going. And he boys like, I mean,
yeah, I like him, to be honest. I think he's got a little bit of that tenacity about him that you need. Like in a couple of games where we weren't performing that great, he seemed to be still out there. We call it ratting about, and I think that's what you need. And obviously on that line, he's got an opportunity to get points. He's obviously seen as a good player, and it's going to be harder for him to get points on other lines potentially than it is this one. So I think giving him the opportunity is quite a good thing, regardless of whether it being availability or not. Someone's got to be there to take it up. So yeah, I think he should be. I think he should be proud, and I don't think he looks that out of place.
What do you reckon, Az?
I really like it. I mean, you've got to think of this logically. It's all well and good. Like, I know we do team of the week and stuff, but I think you can overcomplicate and overpower a LAN by just going, oh, there's our top 3 guys, which I know worked for us last year. With Sobs and Svek and Bobby all on that LAN, and obviously they played class last year, but I don't think it always works, and you've got to sort of mix it up a little bit. And I think Ethan brings, like you've mentioned there, effort and grit, and especially with Bobby Hareton. Bobby will always score goals because that's what Bobby is. He's always in position, but depending on how he's feeling on a night, it might be a case of Bobby, we just need you there for getting shots away, but Ethan will be there to do a bit of ratting for you and and pick up a bit of the graft, as it were. And Emmy will. Well, he can thread a needle as much as anybody, can't he? And he'll slap one back of the net if you give him half a chance. So it's finding that balance across the lines, and it is good to see somebody else who, you wouldn't be top of your list of people to go jump into a top line, but it's great to see even getting that shot, and he's taking it really well, and you can't fault what he's doing.
Definitely, and the line that Stellard sort of left was arguably one of our most informed lines, wanted with Huey and Cornel, and Sobs has gone onto that line. And I think, that's been complemented quite well. Obviously, that line's then gone and got themselves a goal later on in the game. And yeah, it's a nice headache to have, boys, isn't it? And it's good for those kind of players to sort of, take their opportunities when they get you. Obviously, Ethan getting 3 assists on Sunday night, so great for him. But and I've sort of took over a little bit there in terms of Seahawks reacts. As I'll pass it back to you there, but
we're done, aren't we?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. No, I think overall, to look at the sort of weekend, I think as much as disappointing Friday was, we was hit with a real harsh reality of there is still very good teams in the league, and if we don't turn up wholehearted and ready to fight, you're going to get found out quite quickly. We hope it is just one of those nights on the calendar where we can chalk it off and just say, yeah, we was bad there, but we've then filled around it with good results and wins, and I don't think it's too much to get bogged down into and get too upset. You're going to have them, you're going to get beat, you recover. So I think overall I'm quite pleased with the weekend. Could have been better, but overall I think Sheffield beating us was probably on the cards, and then just getting that road win against Solway was massive as well.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up Seahawks reaction this week, and we'll look at the results from the rest of the league on the weekend. So, fellas, let's have a look at the rest of the results from the past weekend. Starting with Friday, 21st of November, the only fixture on the night, which we've covered in Seahawks reaction, but Steel Dogs beating Hull Seahawks 7-1. We won't dwindle too much on that one. It's already depressing enough, isn't it? So moving on to the Saturdays, fixtures, 22nd of November. First result, and probably a massive one in terms of, top of the table. Swindon Wildcats 1, Leeds Knights 4. So we'll stop and talk about this one briefly, because I think we all went for a Swindon win here, especially at the Link. You'd expect nothing but a tight game, but Swindon still coming out, but in the end, quite convincing by Leeds.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was quite surprised at this, but almost in the same breath not. Like you said, we all backed Swindon, and I think anybody in our position probably would have done, given their current form and league standing. So yeah, Leeds obviously really needed it, didn't they? And I don't think I don't think you can write Leeds off at all now because they seem to be moving on up, and these are the games they need to win. They've had two really, really tough games this week, and we caught up with a few of the players, and that they mentioned how tough of a weekend it was upcoming, and that they needed the points. But there was also sort of coming off the back of a bit of a bad spell. I know a few of them went best pleased with the current performance, and what a way to do it. Go to Swindon, beat them, and then go to MK the next day.
Yeah. Rossy, anything from you?
I mean, it was a good homecoming for Ollie Endicott, wasn't it? Obviously,
yeah.
he's a Swindon boy, isn't he? And Pokodzi as well, who I've seen on the forums rustled a few feathers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Pokodzi's attitude was disgusting tonight and blah, 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 but you can't go back, smelling the roses and, hey, everyone, it's nice to be here. They weren't there for that, was they? They was there to go and get some points, and absolutely fair play to Leeds because, I think Swindon coming into this game were like 10 games undefeated at home, which teams like that, it's crazy. They've really got that locked down, and they only really ever score like one goal there. Opponents, only ever tend to score like one, maybe two goals there. Rennie Mars, obviously the top save percentage goalkeeper in the league, and they've put 4 past him, so they've had a real good performance there. And I obviously don't know too much about the game because I didn't watch it, sadly. I think it'd have been a good watch, but I can imagine Leeds really took it to them, and I don't think Swindon have been too happy with that one, will they?
No, for me, it's just a case of, much like we've just mentioned in the Seahawks reaction, you're going to have losses on the road. Like you said, they've gone 10 wins in a row at home. It's a bit of a joke shop of a record that. Unfortunately, at some point it's going to end and you're going to get beat by somebody. If anybody, you'd take MK's, Leeds, those sort of really good teams that have usually thereabouts when it comes to the title running. So it might spare Swindon on again. They might think, what, we needed that just to recheck ourselves. You can sort of go on too long with a bit of a win streak and become a bit too comfortable. So when somebody comes along and pips you, it sort of, gets your head space back and you go again, don't you?
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
Moving on, another big result, this one. Basingstoke Bison hosting the Telford Tigers. The Bison taking it 3-1.
And clocking up the 7th win in a row?
6th, I think it was.
6th in a row, was it? That is some stat, isn't it? That is mental.
Yeah. What's happened to Telford, man?
We've been talking about them for a while, haven't we? And the fact that like they're having a bit of a wobbly patch, and they've got, they've got the let's not sugarcoat it. They've got a really solid squad full of really good players. I really just can't put my finger on what's happened at the moment. And is it injuries? Is it, it's bizarre, isn't it? When you've got someone like David Tomo in your team, and Eric Henderson and Patty Brown, and I know obviously they lost they lost McPhee, didn't they? Is it to do with that? Like, they've had Caelan McPhee, a real good start to the season. Caelan gets injured, and all of a sudden, it's massively wobbly. Did they underestimate how important of a player he is? Because he also chipped in goals as well, didn't he, boys? Is it to do with that, or is it just the fact that it can't just be the fact that Basingstoke were the team on the night, because it seems to be sort of a reoccurring thing, this, doesn't it? I think it's a patch of form that they really want to get out of.
Yeah, the wheel's sort of fallen off the bus and they ain't got any mechanics to put it back on at the minute. And yeah, it's the real seems to be a suffering with consistency at the minute. Like you say, to only score one goal there, we've said this about Bison before when they got the 1-0 win against Sheffield. They're a good defensive side, but
yeah,
you'd still think Telford would maybe scrape a few more goals in there because they can easily change their game up to suit any opposition. But yeah, they're really suffering at the minute. It's be interesting to see how much longer this goes on, to be honest. So moving on then, fellas. Bristol Pitbulls hosting the Peterborough Phantoms. Pitbulls taking a 6-5 in a shootout. So a real bit of an interesting one, this one. I think I personally went for Peterborough to win this one. So to see Peterborough not coming away with this one's a bit of an interesting one.
Wasn't interesting. Go on, sorry, brothers.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think a shootout's a shootout in it at the end of the day. Obviously, you've got to be in it to win it, and to get to that point, but on both sides is no. You've got credit where credit due, because it's difficult games. They're obviously back and forth, quite intense. when you get to a shootout, as disheartening as it is, at least you come away with a point. So if I'm Peterborough, I'm annoyed, but that's just the way it goes. It's got to go one way or the other.
I am disappointed if I'm Peterborough, if I'm being honest, because this was a story of Pitbull's season. And I don't want to be disrespectful here, but there was 3-0 up. Then I think Peterborough went then 5-3 up. 5 unanswered goals or something like that. Then Bristol come back 5-5 and win it on shootout. Like, to go, like how are you Scott like that comfortable in a game, then going behind? It's crazy, isn't it? But fair play to them. They got the 2 points, and obviously that's a big 2 points for them, isn't it? Because Solway and Basingstoke are starting to build a bit of form now, where they're able to take points and stuff like that. And that's probably a big result for Bristol going into the standings, because obviously Solway didn't have as good of a weekend as them. Obviously, they had 2 tricky fixtures, which we'll get into, won't we? But yeah, I think that's a huge win for Bristol, and one that they really needed, and one that they'll obviously want to continue, won't they?
Yeah, agreed. Couldn't agree more with that one. Milton Keynes hosting the Solway Sharks. Milton Keynes taking this one 5-4. So I know we briefly mentioned it when we reflected on the Seahawks, but a close game here for Solway. Again, not doing themselves any harm, still a bit short here and there before going home on the Sunday. And Milton Keynes once again are just showing that they're not the real powerhouse of last season, and they are there for the picking if you can turn up and give them a game.
They're not going to beat anybody 7-1 and 6-1 that I was doing last season anymore. Well, temporarily, the boys.
No.
Yeah, really. I think Sharks can hold their heads up high in this one. But yeah, I think they'll have been a bit gutted not to come out with anything. What they did come out with, boys, was a big problem, because Arsenal broke his hand in this game. They said on the commentary on Sunday night, didn't they, Azza? And he is a big player for them. They went a 2 defensive import route this year, and they've lost one now. And a broken hand, that isn't something that you just come back to after 2 or 3 weeks, is it? So, there was already players down, but yeah, I know Martin Grubb, who was their coach, was really disappointed on his interview on Sunday night, saying we don't know when he's going to be back. And actually, on the night, boys, he broke his hand, then went into the changing rooms. As he put something down his glove as a stent.
Yeah, I was gonna comment on this. So the plastic starers that you use for coffees, apparently put them down his glove and used them as a splint so he could play. And that is a madness.
That's built different. Different.
Absolutely. Fair play to him. But I think from all of us boys, a quick, we're wishing obviously Ollie a speedy recovery, and one that obviously want a nice one. Especially, obviously it's hockey and that kind of thing happens, but wish him the best of luck with his recovery, speedy recovery.
Absolutely. Final fixture on the Saturday then, boys. Sheffield Steel Dogs hosting the Romford Raiders. Raiders taking this one 2-1 in overtime. So after that big win on the Friday against Hull Seahawks, it seems like the fire had been put out a little bit, and it turned into smoke, and Sheffield sort of stuttered a little bit.
How does this happen? That's the question, isn't it? You score 7 past the Seahawks side, who were in good form, and Romford, without being disrespectful, have got a real patchy bit of form themselves, haven't they?
Yeah.
However, obviously up steps Big CC, obviously, because he's had a really good performance, and that decor must have worked their absolute asses off. Because they are free scoring Sheffield, aren't they? It's not a coincidence that that they've just stumbled upon a 2-1 night. Like, they'll have had to work they'll work themselves to the bones, and they've absolutely smashed it in that game, aren't they? Like, the Raiders have got to have a massive load of credit here, because it's not an easy place to go. We know that. If you start slow, they'll jump on you. And, they've gone in with a game, and Sean Easton, who obviously has just took over the side, will be really, really happy with his first game, won't he?
Yeah, it's just gone deadlock, hasn't it, this game, which is very almost harder to do than pull away from an opponent, because you're constantly in the thick of it, aren't you? If you've got a goal or 2 lead and you let one slide, like, you go, it's fine, no harm, no foul. But in such a nervy game, when you're going to go into overtime, it's It's a difficult one, but like you say, CC obviously being a standout performer for Steel Dogs. For Romford that night. And if you're Sheffield playing your second home game of the weekend after winning your first one 7-1 against arguably a harder team to beat, not really good enough. And you've got to capitalise on this stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't think Slava will have been happy with that one, do you?
No, absolutely not.
Our mate Millsy as well got the OT winner, so shout out to him. Always nice to see him doing well. One that's he's sort of taken not a back. I wouldn't say a backseat this season. A lot more assists this season, I'd say, than goals. I think Adam Lashram deserves a lot of credit, and I think is it Jake Sylvester as well. Jake Sylvester's having a weldy so far. One that again who goes under the radar quite a lot, but good solid Brit, and fair play to him.
Yeah. Well, that concludes Saturday's fixtures. Let's move on to Sundays. Sunday, the 23rd of November. First game of the night, the Solway Sharks hosting the Hull Seahawks. Seahawks taking this one 6-2, as we've already covered, so we won't dwindle on that one. Second game of the night, Romford Raiders hosting the Basingstoke Bison. Romford taking this one 5-0.
Wow.
What a 10 of events that is. As we mentioned, Raiders, they get a great result against Sheffield, and that maybe seems like a wow, what we achieved here, boys. But then to Basingstoke that are in great form, to nil them and put 5 past them, where Telford have struggled to score by me. Madness of a result in it.
Yeah, no, that's how you capitalise on a weekend, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. They've done themselves absolutely all the favours in the world, haven't they? Like, absolutely fantastic. To shut them out as a shutout's got to be like massive for their confidence as well, Raiders, hasn't it? They could say, right, this is the weekend, this is the bar that we set. Basingstoke haven't lost a game in 6 games, beat them 5-0 convincingly, and you go away to one of the most high-scoring teams in the league and hold them down to 1 goal. That's amazing, isn't it? It's fantastic. But Romford, they've got a real good core of Brit players there. We spoke, haven't we, in the last couple of weeks, and we've had players from Romford in our team of the weeks and stuff like that. Their imports are obviously absolutely smashing it, and Cole in between the sticks is doing real well. So I think this could almost be like the start of an arc for them. They've had a bit of a wobbly start to the season. Let's see what we can do now, boys. Because I know that within that camp, like we've spoke to 1 or 2 players, haven't we, Brad? And I know that in that camp, after this weekend, they're thinking, yeah, like we know what we are now. We know what we've got, and we know what we can do. So what I'm saying, watch this space, because I think Raiders could be a team that on an upwards trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, new gaffer coming in and back-to-back wins.
There you go.
Yeah, quite proven. Yeah. Moving on, Peterborough Phantoms hosting the Bristol Pitbulls. Peterborough taking this one 6-2. So we give a bit of a slander into Peterborough for that poor result in the first game against Pitbulls, but back at home for Peterborough, and they've put the result right. I think it's the easiest way just to say about that one.
Yeah.
Normal service resumed.
Yeah.
That's it, innit? I think they've had a bit of a wobbly time recently, haven't they, as well? So I think they're quite good value at home usually, aren't they? So I think they'll have been buzzing with that one. I know the usual suspects turned up again, didn't they? Yanni obviously getting a boatload of assists as he always does. They look for was it Luke Ferrara or Cam? I'm not sure which one. One of them's just got to the top goal scorer in the league. Is it Luke Ferrara? I want to say it's Luke Ferrara. Maybe not. It might be Cam. Sorry about that. I'm usually good with my stats, aren't I? But after this game, I'm sure it was. I want to say it was Cam who got a hat trick, and he might be top of the goal scorers now. And I know Luke got a few, but yeah, it's good that they finally turned back up, isn't it?
Yeah,
they've just been a seesawing, haven't they? That's the thing. It's 1 week it looks real bad, and then it's looking real good, and they just need to find solid base and consistency.
Definitely.
So Leeds Knights hosting the Milton Keynes Lightning. Leeds taking this one 3-2. So Leeds having some weekend after obviously going to the Link, beating Swindon 4-1, and then getting a nice home win against MK.
Yeah, they knew what they needed to go out and do this weekend, and they've executed it perfectly. I don't think there's anything more to it than that. I think out of all of the teams you had to verse this weekend, this was probably going to be the easier of the two.
Yeah.
So yeah, taking both teams to the sword and get in, get out, get away with your points and move on, as you say.
Yeah,
it's a mad statement that as well, and MK being the easier team you're playing this weekend.
I know, crazy.
So they've had an hard weekend them, and they could have fell on their ass and got a 0-point weekend done.
Yeah.
Fair play to them. I know obviously the Castle is a massive place for them to play, and it always rocking, isn't it? So I bet that'll have been a good game to be at. But again, usual suspects, Ollie Endicott. I know a lot of fans have been really shouting about him, saying how well he's been playing. Innes Gallagher as well, I think, and Bally. Fair play to him.
Yeah,
Nothing but good that for Leeds. I know they'll be happy with that. And Gozzi getting 2 man of the match performances in 2 games, like mental.
Yeah. Final fixture of the weekend was Telford Tigers hosting Swindon Wildcats, and a bounce back from Swindon, 7-5 winners here. So a high scoring game, but again, another defeat for Telford. I know you could potentially say this one isn't going to be worried about result the way Swindon are playing, but they certainly scored some goals again there. So it's, 9 conceded for Swindon this weekend. Maybe it's a bit of we need to sort ourselves out a little bit.
Unusual for them as well, because they're usually like really solid with the defence, aren't they? But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, boys, because it was. I'm sure until the last period they was like 5-4 down, weren't they? So it could have almost been like a 0-point weekend for Swindon. Imagine that. I know that there was a couple of Telford fans who was like really disappointed with the third period. I think they just let Swindon sort of pull the gun out and just start going at them, which they'll be disappointed with, won't they? Because if they could have got a win against Swindon at home, they'll have been buzzing with that. But 4 goals unanswered in the third period it'd be really disappointing. And going home with 0 points, I'm sure Telford will be rubbing their heads, won't
they? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up the results then, fellas. Let's have a look at the league table, shall we? We'll move into the league table to start with. So after 20 games, Swindon Wildcats on top, 32 points. Second place, 20 played, 29 points is Leeds Knights. Third is Sheffield Steel Dogs, 21 played, 28 points. Fourth is Milton Keynes, 20 played, 22 points. Fifth, Peterborough, 20 played, 21 points. Sixth, Hull Seahawks, 20 played, 21 points. Telford in 7th, 20 played, 21 points. Romford in 8th, 20 played, 20 points. 9th is Bristol, 20 played, 15 points. Basingstoke in 10th, 14 played, 14 points. And bottom of the pile, Solway Sharks, 19 played, 13 points. So Swindon maintain
sorry,
that.
we didn't catch any of that. Can you repeat it all, mate?
One more time.
Professionalism is astounding. Unbelievable. Should we dial it back in?
Thought about that when he said the first one, and I was like, I had to wait until he got to the end.
God, you're boring.
Boring.
So, as I was going to say,
yeah, very interesting.
3-point gap, same amount of games played between Swindon and Leeds now. So the defeat wasn't the worst thing that could happen to Swindon. They've still got that points gap, but I'm sure they would have much preferred to have kept Leeds at bay for a little longer as we go into the busy Christmas period. Nice to see between 5th and 7th, so 3 teams there, Peterborough, Hull and Telford, all on the same points. As much as we was maybe saying Seahawks was having an absolute stinker, they've pulled up with, the rest of the pack where we've maybe said have over-exceeded at times this season.
MK and Peterborough obviously did us favours, didn't they, by getting those losses? I think this week it kept us pretty much at bay. And again, with a win and MK doing worse than that, we then go up to 4th, couldn't we? So, yeah, I think there was a lot of high alert, or no, we're back in the situation we was before. But yeah, it's not as much as like that as we thought.
No, absolutely. I think that 4th place is, anyone's for the taking now at the minute who wants it more. But I can't help but notice, Basingstoke only playing 14 games, but, a 10th. And their max points are 94, so they could be well up there once they catch them up.
But especially with the form that they've been in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see where they end up. Certainly by opener towards the end of the year, coming into the start of next year, because I think people are just going to assume that's where they're sat on the table, and then all of a sudden, within a couple of weeks, they're going to just leapfrog people. So
it's a shame to see Solway go down the way they have in it as well, especially with their injuries and stuff that they've had. I know, obviously, if they win their game in hand, then they'll move back above Basingstoke and they'll be level on points with Bristol, which is interesting. A much-needed win against Peterborough this weekend, then, won't it?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you want me to do the cup, Az?
Yeah, go ahead, mate. I won't interrupt you that I aren't rude like you. So. Unbelievable.
Nice. So in first position, we've got Milton Keynes Lightning, 10 played, 13 points. Leeds Knights in second, 9 played, 12 points. Swindon Wildcats in third, 9 played, 12 points. Sheffield Steel Dogs in fourth, 8 played, 12 points. Hull Seahawks in fifth, 10 played, 11 points. Peterborough Phantoms in sixth, 8 played, 11 points. Telford Tigers in seventh, 10 played, 11 points. Bristol Pitbulls in eighth, 10 played, 9 points. Bromford Raiders in ninth, 8 played, 8 points. Solway Sharks in 10th, 8 played, 7 points. And then Basingstoke Bison in 11th, 6 played, 2 points.
Yeah, so looking at that for me, then you just look at obviously the max points column on there. You know, anybody outside of that top 4 you've mentioned there isn't really going to disrupt it, aside from Peterborough in sixth, who can still get a 15-point max. So that could be really interesting. They could still sneak in there and have a nice little cup knockout run there. But I just remember early on when we said, can you imagine if Milton Keynes and Leeds don't qualify for this knockout and they'd be our first and second, looking highly like they've made it. So it's funny how it changes.
It'd be as a neutral, boys, would any of these 4 teams, as a neutral, would you go to the final? MK, Leeds, Swindon, Sheffield? Because can you imagine that game? Like, I know, obviously, if you had like a spare weekend, for example, and you could do that double header, I bet it'd be a great double header with any 4 of those teams in it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, as a spectacle, you'd obviously want Leeds and Sheffield, so at least you could travel to both legs if need be.
Yeah, it's a good shout, actually. Yeah, it's not bad. But MK and Swindon wouldn't be that nice, would it?
No, it wouldn't. I mean, we've said already, it would be still nice if somebody, like a Swindon, a Sheffield, or a Peterborough does take the cup. Swindon, building this project as they have for a little while now, are probably due a bit of silverware. Both. Us as spectators, you'd want them to achieve something, and then, as their own fan base would obviously want to see a reward for what they've been building. But again, Sheffield doing good things, Peterborough doing little things. It'd be good to just see somebody else win it, to be honest.
I want to throw out a question, boys, and this might be the B-roll for this weekend, for this week. So, before the start of the season, we all predicted that Hull Seahawks was going to win the cup. Unfortunately, statistically, we can't do that anymore. So, based off that top 4, let's say Peterborough don't get into that top 4. MK, Leeds, Swindon, Sheffield. Who do you think will win rather than who do you want to win? Who do you think will win? I know it's a bit of a lottery, but let's have a prediction.
I think after this past weekend where Leeds have sort of knocked Swindon and just said, you can be beaten. I think, again, it's that know-how of Leeds for me. As personally, I'd like to see Swindon win it, but I just think Leeds have just sort of turned the tables a little bit with that win.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Az, because they've got that experience, haven't they, in these bigger games, and if they're on a bit of form and coming into games where they know how to control and deal with the adrenaline and all the nerves that come with it, I think they're just the team you bet on.
If you had to put money on it, it would be Leeds then for you both.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to disagree in it, boys. They have got the know-how. But was it an off night? Swindon are where they are because of how they've been playing this season, let's be fair. MK have shown they can wobble. Sheffield have shown this weekend that they can be absolutely fantastic. And then, not so much that. But I think as maybe not an outsider, because that might be disrespectful to them, but I'd maybe back Swindon just because of how defensively good they have been. They got beat 4-1, and that was an off night for them against Leeds.
See,
interesting.
I was thinking about Swindon, but all that kept going through my head was like last season they had this upward trajectory towards the end, and then they went to Coventry, and it was just like big game, big moment. I don't know if there was a little bit too many nerves there. Whereas you looked at Leeds and MK, and they were there. But I don't think Milton Keynes are the same team there was last season.
Leeds have the capacity as well to win a game like 6-7-1, don't they? Whereas Swindon, as defensive as they are, fantastically, and I know they scored 7 against Telford, they don't really often let the reins go and absolutely batter teams, do they?
No.
So it'd be interesting. Leeds Swindon final would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Be a nice final, that. Yeah. Well, that wraps up this segment then, fellas. We'll move into our team of the week. So now it's time to have a look at our team of the week for this week. Obviously, we've just covered a lot of, great results, potential performers. So it's time to bring it all together now, boys. And I'll start us off straight down the barrel. Our netminder for this week is Hull Seahawks. Obviously, 2-1 win over the Steel Dogs on Saturday away, and a massive shutout on Sunday against Basingstoke Bison, a 5-0 win. 98% save average on Saturday. Romford Raiders have pulled up absolute trees this weekend. Big 4-point weekend. And again, this guy's always thereabouts whenever you talk about Romford doing well. So, yeah, he's in.
Yeah, that's massive, I think, because when you look at his stats, they speak for themselves. But also, you can almost tell on the face of it, like, where the wins have come from. And that's exactly the same when the netminder's had a worldie. To concede 1 goal over the weekend is unheard of.
Yeah, it's quality, isn't it? I mean, there was that little whisper at the start of the season about CC wanting to be like, oh, is he going to have off? I think he had one off game, and everyone was like, oh, that's it. He's shown what he is. But yeah, I'm glad that he's coming up good because, it's good for the league, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so our first defenseman then in this week's team of the week is Leeds Knights' Bo Neely. He got 2 assists versus Swindon in their 4-1 away win victory. And obviously that was part of ending Swindon's 10 match win streak, home game win streak. Yeah, so that's massive for them. He chipped in with another assist in that sort of ground out win against MK, and contributed to only 3 goals conceded all weekend. So as a defenseman, he's had an absolute blinder.
Yeah, it's the Cats and the Lightning as well. There's no thingy, that is it.
Solid.
Well, fair play to Bo. Second defenseman then, we're going back to the Raiders and someone who's already been in our team of the week, but you can't knock people, can you? It's Jarrett Baker. So obviously he was part, again, seconding what Azza said, really, part of that decor who put in a huge shift against, Steel Dogs, obviously to only concede 1 goal, then a shutout against the Bison, who was on really, really good form, which is class. And he's chipped in that the Bison win. He got 2 assists as well. So, you can't knock that, can you? Some Romford's imports really putting up the points and putting up big performances at the moment. So fair play.
Yeah, our first forward is a Wildcat Welsh national, Owen Griffiths. So, as things went great in the first game of the weekend for Swindon Wildcats, it did soon turn when they went away and played against Telford. And Owen had, a great impact on this game, scoring the opening 2 goals and then providing 2 assists on the night as well. I think this is Owen's first appearance now at Team of the Week, but massively deserved with this, 4-point night just alone there. So, yeah, big shout out to him for that one.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah. Okay, so our next forward is Romford Raiders' Jake Sylvester. Jake's been popping up here, there, and everywhere. You mentioned it earlier, Al, on the Nerd. He's seems to be one of them core members now of the Raiders, and we're really seeing that. Obviously, he's an influential member of that first line, and has helped massively to their 4-point weekend this weekend. He scored their opening goal against Sheffield in their 2-1 win, and they added 2 more goals and an assist on the Sunday in their 5-0 win against Basingstoke, ending obviously Basingstoke's 6-game streak. So they're he's now sitting at 13th overall in the standings for most points in the league, 17 plus 12. So in just 18 games, he's going to be up there, I think, if he carries on with this form.
Some start that, innit?
Yeah, massive.
Not to be disrespectful to Jake, but you want to be like, he's definitely in the top 15 or whatever. So it just goes to show how good he's going about his business, doesn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And then finally, we're going to the Phantoms. So obviously they were back with 3 points this weekend. And we're going to go with Cam Huff. We've checked off camera. Do apologise for my earlier not knowing the stats. But yeah, 4 big goals this weekend for Cam. He put up a goal on Saturday in the shootout loss against Bristol. And then he well and truly fired the Phantoms to a much needed 3 points with obviously 3 goals in the home game against Bristol, and he's now the leading goal scorer in the league. So how about that?
Yeah, he's class. We saw this last season where he knows how to find the back of the net, and he's especially good in those shootouts. And he's got a bit of sauce about his finishing when it comes to a shootout. He's a good player. I think we just need to see it a bit more regular. If he'd started to do this week in week out, when we've seen some of the other top players in the league, I think he'd be unstoppable.
I agree. Mm-hmm. He's definitely got the makings to be like that big player in the league, hasn't he? It's just about Peterborough churning it out consistently, and again they've got a good base to do that. So hopefully we'll see more of that.
Yeah. Well, that concludes our team of the week for this week. Big congratulations to everybody who made it. It was nice to see some unfamiliar faces, making their way in there. It does prove that we aren't just going to stick with the big names, the big guns every week, and we're willing to change it up. So, yeah, again, congratulations to all those that made it. So now let's look at the weekend's fixtures that are upcoming, fellas. But before we jump into them, we start doing our predictors. I think it'll be time to hand over to you, Rossy, and announce who's done what this week in the predictor.
Yeah, we're not in the bar this week, so we can't show off our lovely trophy, can we? Brad's in his penthouse, as you can see. So he's in his holiday home, aren't you, Brad? You're not quite at home yet. The Slapshot studio is not a sea view one, unfortunately, so we haven't got it.
No, I've come away this week. So.
He's in his private villa. But I have got the book. Don't worry, boys. So we are all covered. So last week, Rossy held the crown, didn't he? And we got up to, the leaderboard showed, that Rossy is in the lead with 65. Azza is in second place with 63. And Brad was in third with 61. So there was only 4 points clearing us this weekend, boys. So some interesting results. And I think the person that won this weekend sort of won because they went a little bit against the grain and it went in their favour. Obviously, there was quite a few fixtures that went to ways the opposite way this weekend, weren't they? So 2 of us got 5 points and 1 of us got 8 points. So again, no one got a perfect score, but the person who got 8 literally only predicted 3 games wrong, which was the Sheffield and Hull game, Leeds and Swindon game, and the Romford and Sheffield away game. Every other game they predicted correctly. So the person who won, boys, drum roll, was me again.
Jesus.
So I think the main reason was sort of like back in Basingstoke against Telford. Back in Romford. I think I backed Bristol as well against Peterborough at home. I don't know why. I was just trying to go against the grain a little bit. But again, the standings aren't too far away, boys, and it's only a matter of getting a few perfect scores or a couple of results, and we're all right back in then. It's probably made the competition a little bit better, isn't it, boys? The fact that we are so close. So anyway, we'll go into the current standings then. So we've got Brad in third with 66, closely following Azza in second with 68, and I now sit top of the table with 73. So again, plenty to play for. 7 points in it, top to bottom.
Interesting. Like you say, yeah, it is still close. As we're coming to the Christmas period now, it should start tightening up, and who's to say what twists and turns we'll have between now and then. So
definitely, boys, 100%.
So with that said, then let's jump into this weekend's coming fixtures and see what we can predict. So Saturday, 29th of November, first game, Leeds Knights versus the Romford Raiders. Bit of a tough one, this one. Leeds in good form, great weekend, but so were Romford Raiders. So who wants to take the reins on this one?
I don't mind going first if you want.
Yeah, go on.
So I think that it's not going to be as huge in terms of Leeds as we usually think. I'm going to back Leeds for a home win. I'm going to back them 4-2. I think Romford have got a goal or two in their team, and I think obviously the defence is pretty solid. But I always back Leeds at home. It's just one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm feeling the same. Leeds will come away with a victory, but I don't think it'll be quite as high scoring. Obviously, they've got CC in goal. If he has another good game, I think getting 4 past him is going to be no easy feat. So, I'll go Leeds Knights 2-1.
Ooh, that'd be a good game, wouldn't it?
I'm going to follow you both and go with Leeds Knights, but I'm going to go in the middle of you both, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 win for Leeds.
Yeah. I think that's respect for Cole, that, isn't it? And the decor. We keep saying CC, but the decor as well. Like Romford's decor is pretty solid.
Second fixture, Swindon Wildcats hosting the Telford Tigers. So obviously a bit of a rerun from this past weekend where Swindon took this 7-5 at the Jungle, but this time at the Link Fortress, apart from when Leeds go. What we're saying for this one, boys?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game as well. Obviously, Swindon come off a loss at home last week. Telford come off in a tough weekend themselves, so they're going to need to pick up some points. I'm going to back Swindon just because I feel like I'd be a fool to not. Go Swindon 4-2.
Okay. Do you want me to go for next, Az? Or do you want
if you want.
Yeah, I'm also going to follow in the same vein as Brad. I don't think Swindon are going to want to drop any more points. No one wants to drop points, but they'll be on the ice this week, really looking at Telford and seeing what they can do to maintain that lead in the table. I also don't think that it's going to be really high scoring. I don't think Swindon do that at home. I think they defend really well. 4-2 looks like a really good prediction. I wish I had gone first, really. So I'll go similar. I'll go 4-1.
I'm going to, based on last week, I am actually going to go for a few more goals, and I'm going to go for a Swindon 5-3.
Nice. And that'll be the second El Kitico in 2 weeks, boys.
There's no clause left. So next fixture, Bristol Pitbulls hosting the Basingstoke Bison. I think this one's got banana peel written all over it. I think this one's a bit of a harder one to call.
1,000%. Azza, you want to go on this one, yeah?
Yeah, I'll go first. I might be going against the grain, but I'm going to go Basingstoke on this one. I'm going to go for a 3-1.
Nice. What are you saying, brothers?
Yeah, finding it tough to call, to be honest. My head is saying Basingstoke, obviously just because of the quality they've got in that team, and when they do show up, they're pretty good. But I need to get some points, so I'm going to go for Bristol. I'm going to go Bristol in a 4-3.
Nice.
Imagine if you guess this right and get the correct score.
And
be some pull that.
You know what? Yeah, it's not a bad shout. That I was sort of thinking in my head, Brad's going to go for Basingstoke here, and I'm going to have a cheeky dip on Bristol. Now that you've gone for Bristol, Brad, I'm a bit torn because like you said, exactly the same as you there, Brad. In my head, I did think the Bison start us off. I will follow that then, and we'll hope that Brad gets a little weldy in there, little gem. And I'll go Bison to win. I'll go 4-2 to the Bison.
We'll see how that one plays out for your brothers.
Pressure's on you, kid.
Milton Keynes hosting the Sheffield Steel Dogs. Again, a bit of an interesting one to call this. You know, Sheffield having a bit of an up and down time, and Milton Keynes, you don't really know what you're going to get at the minute. So, interesting one to play out this.
One thing to remember about this one, boys, and I'll start again. I think we all took it in turns there going first, didn't we? I'm going to back Sheffield to win because if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, Sheffield went to MK and beat them, didn't they? It might be similar this time as well. I mean, they shipped 4 to the Sharks, who was really low on players last week. So they've got the signs there, haven't they? I'm going to back Sheffield to win, and I'm going to back them 4-3.
Yeah, go on, Azza, you go.
I'm going to go really wild with this. And I mean, like, proper far out.
18-4.
Might as well be. I'm going to go for Sheffield to win this, but I'm going to go for a 6-2.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know, just someone's telling me Sheffield are going to come back big here against MK, and I just don't think MK will have enough to stop them.
Jeez, man, that'd be some battering.
If that result comes in,
Thunderdome, won't it? Imagine.
Yeah,
I think Tim Wallace would actually start swinging. He would, wouldn't he? Imagine after last time. There's people here that don't deserve to be playing for the team. He would come off the bench and be like, "Yo, come on then."
Yeah, this is a real toughie because if I'm going to pick up points, then theoretically I go MK. But having just taken a gamble, I do think Sheffield have got it in the bag. Just because obviously when they're knitted together, they're a way better team. Obviously, MK can play very well, but it's a bit few and far between at the moment. Obviously, it's at MK, so that's always going to play a factor, but I still think Sheffield have the quality to go and take points. So I'll go Sheffield Steel Dogs 5-3.
Nice.
Interesting. And the final game on the Saturday, Solway Sharks hosting the Peterborough Phantoms. Another one that could be tough to call this, and a bit of a banana peel to call. I'll go first, and I'm gonna go for Peterborough Phantoms. And I think this is gonna come down to like a shootout, if I'm honest. I'm gonna go for 4-3 Peterborough.
Nice. I have put shootout on there as if you've predicted that it'll be extra. Is it an extra point as well?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Brad?
I'm gonna go Solway for this game. Obviously it's a double header, and they're both in Solway. So I'm thinking they've got a couple of days to recover, see if they can get some bodies on the ice and get some time in. Come out Saturday, get some points in them, and then we'll see what happens Sunday. But I'll go Solway in a gritty 4-3 victory.
You know what, brothers? I'm really glad that you just told me that's a double header in Solway because I didn't know that actually, and that would have probably changed my answer. So thank you, I appreciate it. Because of that, I'm going to back Solway as well. I'm going to back them to win 4-2. And yeah, that is very interesting. I think they'll have a few more players back this week, defensive players. I know that they said, I want to say Danskin was on his way back and Boyd, so they're 2 big players for him. And I reckon that the new import after, because interesting one about the import, I don't want to go on too long, sorry boys, but he landed in Heathrow, then went to MK and played MK, didn't have any of his hockey gear, got back at 5 o'clock in the morning, then played against Hull. Like, what a baptism of fire that is. And that's with, like, no sleep whatsoever. So imagine what he's like. And he was pretty decent, wasn't he? So imagine what he's like with a full week on the ice and stuff like that. Like, might light it up, you don't know. But Azza might also do us with that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've both forgot, but Cam Huff is all I'm going to say. And you've already alluded to point scoring.
Very true. Very true.
And that's where I'm going with that one. So moving on to Sunday, 30th of November, first game of the night, Basingstoke Bison hosting the Leeds Knights.
Ooh. Now, Bison have done it in recent weeks, haven't they? They've done it to MK, they've done it to Sheffield. Can they do it to Leeds? That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to say I really like the Bison, and we're always engaging with them on Instagram. We're talking to Ty Cathcart. He loves it. It's quality. But I don't know whether Leeds now, because of this weekend just gone, are just going to be that team now, that they're just going to go on a bit of a roll. For that reason, I think as defensively solid as they are, I'm going to back Leeds, and I'm going to back them to win 4-2.
Yeah, I agree with you, because now Leeds are sort of finding their feet a little bit and getting towards the top end of the table. I can't see them taking the foot off the gas either. I think it might just be a little bit too much of an ask for Basingstoke, this one. So Leeds Knights, you went 4-2, didn't you?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go 3-2.
3-2,
3-2, yeah.
What are you saying, Az?
I thought Brad was going to say what I was going to say then. So I'm going to follow suit. I think you both bang on with what you're saying. Leeds Knights, I was toying between 2-1 or 3-1. I think I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds, just because Basingstoke have been keeping these low scores. You think of the Sheffield game as a prime example. I think there is a good defence there, and I think Leeds might struggle a little bit. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Leeds on that.
What a credit to the Bison, by the way. A team that was meant to be a free hit team. Like, they're really credible, aren't they? The thing I'd like to see from the Bison, and this is my challenge to the Bison players who watch, is goals. Like, they're defensively solid. Imagine if they could put 4 or 5 goals up a night, like, guaranteed. Like, they'd be a scary team to play, wouldn't they?
It's just, if goals come, would it sacrifice D?
That's it, innit?
That's the thing, innit?
Mm.
So moving on then, fellas, it's that second game in that double header. Solway Sharks hosting the Peterborough Phantoms.
Yeah, I'll take this one first then, because I think this is going to be a reverse of the Saturday fixture. Again, rationale being Solway Sharks going to have some fresh legs on the Saturday, but come the Sunday, they might still be a bit short benched, and that fatigue starts to creep in. So I think it's going to be a bit more high scoring and in Peterborough's favour. So I'll say Peterborough 6-2.
Okay. That's what you're saying?
I'm going to go for a Peterborough 4-point weekend. I'm going to go for a 5-3 win.
Okay. I'm going to back the boys, as I always do. Just on the one, because if they've got some players back and they start to click again, they can make the Sharks act really difficult. But also on the same vein, boys, I could obviously get a point if you guys get it wrong. So similarly to the game on the Friday, I won't go 4-2. I'll go 5-3 to Solway. 5-3.
Interesting.
Come on, the Sharks.
So moving on, Romford Raiders hosting the Milton Keynes Lightning.
Interesting one, this.
I'm gonna go for Milton Keynes 3-2.
What you saying, brothers?
I'm also going to go Milton Keynes for this one. Milton Keynes, what did you say, Azza? 4-2. 3-2. I'll go 4-2 then.
4-2. I was hoping that one of you was going to go Romford. I'll go MK. I'm going to back MK as well. I think they're going to get beat on Saturday, and I think Tim Wallace is going to give them a good levering.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have a kick up the arse again, aren't they? And get out there and prove what you can do. I think they might come out swinging like they did Peterborough the other week. And I'll go similarly to you guys. I'll go 5-3 to MK.
Interesting. Hull Seahawks against Bristol Pitbulls. Seahawks only game of the weekend at home, so it should be an interesting one for us to go and watch. I'll go first again if you like. I'm going to go for a Seahawks 5-1 win.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that, as I going to see this going one way as well. Obviously, I won't be there on Sunday. It'll be just you two guys, and don't blame me.
Oh, we blame him.
I'm going to go Seahawks 6-2.
6-2 was that? Sorry.
Yeah, 6-2.
All right, mate.
That was the future missus cutting his internet there for being a cheeky little son. So
blame me for the right. That's it.
Getting
It's
cooked.
coming off. From Bunyan's teenager. No. You keep shouting on that Xbox and I'm turning it off. Yeah. I'm going to go similar to you boys. I'm going to go a 5-2 win to Seahawks. I think it'll be nice.
Resounding wins all round.
They'll be bang at it, yeah. Come on, the Hawks.
The final fixture of the weekend, boys. Telford Tigers hosting the Sheffield Steel Dogs.
Ooh. Double away weekend for the Sheffield Steel Dogs here, boys.
Yeah, and it's obviously a tough one. MK and Telford, so,
Key question, 4-point away weekend for Sheffield. Is it doable?
I'm gonna say yes. So with that in mind, that means I am gonna back Sheffield, but I am gonna go for a 4-2. I just think Telford showed when Swindon went there that they can be beaten. There might be goals in there, and Telford on this bit of a slump, and I think Sheffield will be another team that will capitalise on this.
What do you think, Brad?
I'm going to go Telford.
Nice.
I think they've got goals in them at home. So I'm going to go Telford 5-3.
Hello.
Okay. I was fancying a bit of Telford before you predicted that. I thought you was going to go for Sheffield.
Oh.
Don't start. Or call the future Mrs. Emerson to cut your internet off. Right, I'll back Telford as well. I'm going to back Telford as well. So Azza, this could be a point for you here, kid. I'll go Telford to win 5. I'll go 5-4. 5-4.
Well,
right then, that's all the games to predict, boys. With that, it's another episode complete. Another good chinwag with you both, as always. A bit of banter and a bit of showmanship from Brad. I like the way he's done it while he's remote at home, so I can't twat him over the edge for being a that. I'll soon be back in the garage, mate. Don't worry, you'll soon get it. He's even that scared. He's duck Sunday, so I don't twat him then. So
yeah. He'll have forgot about it that Monday.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think so, pal. I don't forget.
Elephants never do, mate, do they?
Well, what are you trying to say? Is that my age or my skin?
Oh, your trunk way.
Whoa, hang on, pal. Stop looking. Go ask the future Mrs. Corcoran, she might tell you. No, but another good episode, lads. I know remotely it makes it a bit more difficult, and sometimes we're cutting in on each other and whatnot. It doesn't flow as good as it does when we're in person. But it's been another good laugh and another fun-filled episode, especially from myself. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, 100%. Got to agree there. Quickly before we go though, the merch order is done, and we would need to say a massive thanks to everybody that got involved, boys. It's safe to say we was a little bit overwhelmed, weren't we, with the response to that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good to see I remember, obviously, you've sort of sorted this out, Rossy, but when you said, oh, yeah, the boys, the orders, this, that, and the other, and, I've got a few lads from work that I've got some bits, but when you showed me the full list, I was like, oof, this is some show, this. Really appreciate everybody who has bought something, and we love the support. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was class, and that was the last big order we were sort of doing before Christmas. I think doing those orders in the future will definitely be something we do again. It was just that was pushing it a little bit to say like, if you definitely want it before Christmas time. So, but by all means, if you want to get your own and you want to get it shipped directly to you, then please again revisit the website. The link's in our bio on our Instagram page and our Facebook page. So yeah, go get your merchandise and obviously send us your pictures because we love to see it, and we love to see more and more people getting involved with the Slapshot Syndicate every week, don't we, boys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well said.
I think there's nothing much else to say, lads, apart from just thanking everybody once again for watching the episodes, liking, subscribing, commenting, getting involved in the polls on the Instagram each week. It's always interesting to see who else is predicting the results going into the weekend.
Definitely.
So that said then, boys, thanks for very much, and thanks to everybody, and that concludes another episode.
Slapshot Syndicate, pure ambition. 3 mics, 1 mission. Azza and Rossy, yeah, that's the crew. Dropping knowledge, what you gonna do?